Are you already recording, Ivy? All right, good. So, hello everyone for a new working session of the legal working group. Just as every week, sorry. Let's start with the week question, which is, what are the plans for the weekend? We can start with Grifty today.
Okay. My plan for the weekend, praise quantification on Saturday. Woo! Wake up early, look at all the action that has been happening, and it's really always fun. Who wants to join? Who's coming with me? Yeah, so praise quant, bike ride with the kids. Then I'm actually going to look at Ecuador has a thing where if you buy land, you can come and go as you please, basically. So I've been selling a lot of crypto lately to people in this little town. They're just throwing cash at me for crypto. And I have all this cash, and I'm like, well, maybe I should just buy land here. So I'm going to go look at a piece of land, and that's kind of crazy because I don't really like owning things. But if it'll give me access to this, I feel like it's like staking crypto, so you can get access into like some other a launch pad or something. It's like some kind of game theory where you have to stake, and then you get to do these things. So I would like to be able to come back to Ecuador, and I won't be able to unless I do this. So it's kind of like, shit. And what's cool is I can buy like a $20,000 piece of land and then say that it was worth 45 and then be able to come in. So like there's also that little like
already cheating with the system.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it. That's what's tricking me into this. So that'll be my Saturday, and then Sunday is just tech params and give it stuff. I'll pass it to Ivy. Or, sorry, to Santi. Why don't you go, Santi?
Okay, good. It's going to be an interesting weekend. I have the first drop on the Wax blockchain with one of the artists I'm helping with. He's a humorist, and he's launching on Saturday noontime. It's a promotional drop. It's free for everyone. So if you guys want to just try it out, let me know. I'll send you the links. And then I plan to probably do some biking if the weather is nice. It's a little weird. I was expecting to at least take a ride today, but it's a really shitty day. And just planning on our DAO. It's getting shape, and it's beautiful to be focused on that. So that's basically what the weekend's gonna be. I'll pass it to Juan Carlos that just joined.
Thanks, Santi.
The question here is what are the plans for the weekend?
Hey everyone, thanks. I am going to take my dog to a girl dog to see if I can get puppies, and and also in Colombia everything is closed, and everything will be closed for like a week and a half. So I just downloaded some games, and I am going to try some games over the weekend. And I don't know who hasn't passed yet.
Zepti, you wanna go?
Yeah, I can take it. Plans for the weekend. Today is Sam finally joining me. Yeah, I really miss him. So we probably going we on weekends used to do long walks, and actually with a friend of us, we are starting to get with the car and go to even still in Catalonia, but places we've never been there, and yeah, just walk and see the mountains. That's beautiful. I'll pass it to Sean.
Morning, everyone. Nothing too much planned for the weekend. Probably we'll do a little gardening, and I finally got a couple of the citrus trees here, and we'll decide on whether or not to keep them in containers or start digging big holes in the ground and see if we can get them in the ground. But otherwise, nothing much. Back to you, Santi.
Thank you. Chui, you want to go?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, I'm visiting and spending a weekend in Mexico City with my girlfriend. So uh, things close very early here, but they're like open and like functional at some point. So yeah, just hang out, visit some friends, uh, probably take the chance to see some apartments. Rent has gone like very cheap here in some nice neighborhoods. So yeah, I used to live here before the pandemic, so probably this is a good opportunity to come back. And well, yeah, and definitely much more interesting than my hometown. A lot more going on here. So yeah, just enjoy Mexico City.
Good. Thank you. Ivy, you're the last one here.
Okay, so tomorrow I will be working on the Common Stack sprint review video and might finish some work that I might not be able to finish today because I'm not feeling very well. I might sleep early after this call, and then but on Sunday if I'm feeling better, I am planning to go out with the kids that I met here. So in this island, so I'm going out with them and check out a beach that I haven't seen yet. So that's the plan for the weekend.
Cool. Each time is always good time. All right. Perfect. I posted the agenda, and there's these two links with the two documents that Sean just sent it to me. I think it was last night, and I just converted them to the Google Docs. So let me share my screen here. So there's here on the agenda, you can find the links for the two documents, the proposal terms, which is quite long, and the source code and impact hour distribution terms. So I suggest that we start for the short one, which is the praise disclaimer, and just we can just I can just read it, or you can point us out what are the main the main topics of the document, Sean.
I guess I just kind of hit the two main points, which were one, reestablishing the position that look, praise is not a salary, it's not a wage, it's just not an employment relationship. And then two, pointing out that if there was any friction regarding the amount of praise or how praise gets quantified, that there is potentially sort of a dispute resolution process available. So basically what I did is, and hopefully did this correctly, is list out all the different tokens that are available. This way we can focus down on what I think is the main token for this piece, which is the impact hours token. And that they be getting that as a reward for content. And so you can see down at the paragraph that begins, it is TEC's intent through this disclaimer that any token received for praise or impact hours is not to be construed by anyone as a salary or wage for work performed, but rather a gift from the community to community members. Your continued participation in the hatch, and if approved, the Commons DAO, constitutes your agreement that there is no employment relationship that exists, yada, yada, yada. And then kind of go into the risks, as we talked about last week, namely that it's entirely possible that the minimum threshold isn't met, and therefore the IHT tokens won't matter at all because there'll be nothing to convert them to. Or that the community may decide to treat the IHT tokens in a manner different than how it's been contemplated to the present. and so that there just aren't really any warranties or promises that are involved with the IHT. And so the last section, what to do when people are unhappy or if there's friction about the amount of praise or the conversion of praise into the IHT tokens. We talked about, I want to say it was Juan Carlos, but I could be wrong, the gravity process in the dispute resolution for it. And I just did not have the time to dig in and reach out to Juan Carlos about this. But that would be the last kind of section there, but I just didn't have time to get to it and finish it up. But there we would kind of describe what my understanding is, the graviton process, and any dispute resolution that could be handled within the community about it. And that's,
yes,
and that's it.
And I would be glad to write something there. So yeah.
Great. You can just, I think I made the document available and editable by anyone. So if you just click on the link from the agenda, which I posted on the text legal channel, you should be able to just jump in and type anything from Carlos. There is a doubt I have here. There's two doubts that come to my mind. First, should users have to sign this document, or because or may we just make it available for anyone and just feel comfortable that it's fine?
People will get it by interacting with source credit and praise, and that happens on Discord and GitHub, right? And the forum, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Forum, it's really hard. Is it? Maybe when people join the forum, they are kind of forced to check some boxes. I mean,
yeah,
that's
something
the
like
main thing.
that would be nice.
Yeah, we just
Mm-hmm.
hit them where they at their entering point, right? Wherever the surface of like.
I know we do that on
crossing.
Discord. We do that on Discord, but I'm not sure about the forum.
Yeah, I don't know how the forum works either, but
Yeah,
I think that's the place to do this.
Okay, that was the first question. The second one was, we just talked about the impact tower token, and my concern is that in the future we might distribute anything that we may think it's worth distributing through SourceCred or through the praise system or any other system that we might implement. Should we leave the door open to any token? Although I think it's good to mention basically the impact tower token, because it's what people is used to hear right now.
Yeah,
I think that's
possible. Yeah, if it's possible, there'll be another thing. Then yeah, then I could probably get that in a sentence or two.
Yeah, just make it future proof, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that basically other tokens may function in the future similar to IHT or other tokens, and yeah, I can get that. I can fix that this week, no problem.
Okay, so go ahead.
The other piece is I don't see any mention of like governance rights, and I feel like THC. I'm just seeing THC and honey will be transferable tokens after the hatch is complete. There's no honey. I don't think you have to mention honey anyway.
No honey.
Honey is money, but we're not using it so much. But yeah, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, that some of these tokens will give, like, a lot of the intention is to, and like the purpose of doing any of this stuff is to recognize contributions with governance rights. And those governance rights might have monetary value, but that's not the intention. The fact is you put work in, so we are a collective organization governed by its members, kind of like a co-op, but with quantification of membership as opposed to one member, one vote. So it's just like, that's the vibe of, that's why we give out tokens. And it's so that it's like you have merit. You've earned a right to say how this organization evolves. And it just happens that some of these tokens, like governance over a public good, has value, and these tokens may or may not end up with value, and they may or may not even end up with governance rights, but that's generally the intention. And so I don't know, I feel like it's just missing that. It could just be one sentence where we just say, often these tokens are imbued with like decision-making power within organizations.
I can definitely add that, Griff.
Nice.
So if we introduce the any token for the future, we can allow document something dispute. And we'll have to decide.
Yeah, I don't know if
can
it's
check
me, but
it.
I think you're cutting out, Santi.
What was that, Chui?
Cut out.
If it's me or if it's my connection or your connection, I cannot hear anything here.
Se't talla una mica, Santi.
Se'm talla, no? És que tinc la màquina aquesta saturada. A veure.
I think it's better now.
Can someone else share the document so I don't have so much traffic on my internet connection and hopefully works better? Thank you, Juan Carlos. So I was, can you now hear me correctly? Okay. I was mentioning that if Sean can introduce that sentence, get rid of the honey token and leave the door open to any future tokens. And Juan Carlos adds some words concerning the potential horizon of disputes and the mediation process. Then all we will need will be to decide where to put this document and force people to check it when they join. We can do that on Discord. There's already a document that we have to check anytime someone new joins the channel, the server. And I don't know if we can do that on the forum, but we'll try to figure it out. Otherwise, do you think, Sean, if it's on Discord is fine, or we should try to have it both places?
I would try to have it both places, but you always run into at what point is it click through overload? And if you really want people to pay attention to it, put it in the place they're most likely to see it and read it. And if that means that's two places, great. But just bearing in mind, the other rule of thumb is at some point, we all stop reading the warning signs on prescription drugs when there's 5,000 things listed. And so I think the same is true with legal documents, where at some point, people will just stop paying attention if there's just click through after click through after click through every time you join. And I understand this happens just the first time you go through it, but it lessens the impact it may potentially have. And look, because we're dealing in a sort of multi-jurisdictional situation here, I would love to have signatures. That's the ideal situation, because it says people at the very least understand they're being bound by something, even if they didn't thoroughly read it, because you can't make them thoroughly read it. That's still best. Just bearing in mind that at some point you just want to be careful you don't overload people.
Okay, that check is considered a signature?
Well, it depends on where where you're at. Out here in California, click-throughs are generally considered a straight up contract, that it is an assent to the terms and agreements. And sometimes you can go even wider. If it's just available, it can sometimes be considered a viable contract. Is that true everywhere? That's beyond what I can do. But in California, yeah, I mean, click through, it's generally considered an assent to a binding contract between parties. Here, who's the contract between, because it's a DAO, it's a harder situation, or at least a different situation.
All right. Well, my main concern is not just the liability for giving away something and making sure it's not there is no employee relationship here, but also in the event that a conflict arises, and we can at least tell the parties that they signed that document that was stating that this could happen, and this is this is how things are, and if they don't read it, okay, it's not our own problem. At least the document's there, and they should have read it. And we can at least start from that base point. That's what I was thinking on. Okay, so once we get the document done, we will Discord. I don't see any problem. The forum will have to figure out if at the end of the day you just click that document the very first time you join the server. So it's not that, although I don't know if it's just me or not, but every time I jump into the server, Juan Carlos, I am sent to that initial channel where the document is. I don't know if you guys force that, the start here place. I always get sent there, and I always see that document. Okay, it's done on purpose. That's fine. All right. Okay. So that was the impact tower. And if you can go back to the agenda, there's the other document, which is the proposal terms, which is slightly longer. And I'd love, Sean, if you can give us, some guidance through the whole document and the sections.
So this is actually, this is a long document, but this is actually GoFundMe's document. Santi, let me give you, and I had an outline. Let me send you an outline that I think might be a little bit easier, because this is GoFundMe's, and the reason why I have it here is because there are a lot of interesting things that you can tell they're concerned about. One, they're clearly concerned about jurisdictional stuff. So you can see them talking about the European Union area, America. They're talking about the biggest blocks of sort of what they imagine to be their users. There's also the fact that not just can people set up GoFundMes, but charities can work through them. And then obviously there's a lot of sort of unique charity law. And there's payment processor issues, because again, whenever you're dealing with transmitting money, it raises all kinds of issues. And so that's a lot of what clearly GoFundMe, which again is not a one-to-one similarity, but is something that I think is at least similar to what will be going on. You can tell all the stuff they're clearly super concerned about, because this is like a 30-page document in relatively small fonts. So there is a lot of stuff here, and I thought it was worthwhile that not just for my own, but other people may want to kind of look through this and go, oh man, there's a lot of stuff to think about when it comes to how are people going to interact with making proposals. Because obviously it could be Wild West where you just kind of say, hey, look, just do what you want and just kind of deal with it from there. I don't think that's the best way, but because you can see these organizations are clearly concerned. They're concerned about sanctions, and not having GoFundMes that in any way break sanction laws, whether it's the U.S. having sanctions against, say, North Korea, or the European Union may have sanctions against, a third-party country. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Santi, give me 2 minutes and let me see. I should be able to send you an outline. I thought I did that yesterday, but
Sure.
maybe I didn't. And there's a lot of stuff in this document as well about not just making proposals, but on the other side, people that choose to participate in GoFundMe campaigns. And so that's something that, again, just worth, I think, looking at.
Maybe what we could do is go over that document and identify those sections that we believe that really are important for TEC to to focus on, and start working on those, like create the outline of the document out of those sections that really we believe that affect us, and maybe go over the other sections. But there's probably some that, although they may be considered important for GoFundMe, we may consider that we don't need to go on that much deeper into that direction.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, that's basically what I have. Let me just get on the internet here. It is so hard because I have my phone, my laptop, and my iPad all trying to do one thing. All right, so
Has anyone have experience with any GoFundMe campaign, or know about anyone having an experience with running a campaign and getting a donation?
no, I've never ran one myself.
I
Just
have
Just
some
get coin
experience
in.
with Kickstarter, but not GoFundMe.
Do we have access to the Gitcoin? I'm sure they have similar document, probably not that long, because they're dealing with crypto and probably they don't care that much. But it would be nice to try to find that document from Gitcoin and compare them both. Do you know where we could find something like that, Griff, from Gitcoin?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I assume Gitcoin has it on their website. I've never noticed it, but that doesn't mean it's not there, right?
But you've gone through the process of launching. I've done it for the first time now, but you've gone through the whole process.
Yeah.
Have you ever signed any document?
No, it would just be I mean, they're in Denver, so like Sean was saying, it's just like you check a box and that's good enough. So I'm sure there's just a checkbox and terms and conditions. Okay. And I'm sure they have it because they're consensus, and or they were consensus. And so they have that big legal team that forces creates a lot of problems for all the crypto consensus crews. So I'm sure they have it, but I don't know anything about it.
All right, Santi, if you just check your Discord in maybe 1 minute, the outline should be coming over. And what I did is I pulled out what I thought were the main areas that we should at least consider addressing. It doesn't mean we have to, but we should at least consider addressing. All right, I just sent it.
Okay, I'll just add those at the top of the proposal terms.
Yeah. So once you get that, Santi, we'll kind of go through what I thought were the major areas where we'll have to describe some things, and then some things I don't know. We'll have to see. But if you check your Discord, Santi, the outline should be there now.
I already added that. Can you go all the way up to
perfect.
the terms, Juan Carlos? It's on the top of the document. There we go.
So this is what I thought. One, you kind of have a terms of service, and that's just basically saying, look, these are the terms. They can get changed. We know that's kind of a repeated refrain. Is obviously this is community driven, so the community is going to have the ability to change terms of services, and then the TEC services description. That's again just kind of trying to describe as shortly as quickly as possible what the TEC is, and whether or not we want to expand on this. This is not meant to be, any of these sections that even have descriptions are not meant to be finished. They're just kind of jumping off points. Then I thought we'd want to describe the proposal organizer. And so these are going to, obviously these are the people that are making proposals. I called them proposal organizers. I don't know if that's the best phrase for them. I don't know if we have a different phrase. I know we're still in the process of kind of cleaning up some of the language.
Straight up posers. No, just kidding. Yeah, proposal creators is probably the. I mean, there's it's interesting because you can create a proposal on the forum and organize it and and in that proposal you'll even say this is the address that the money is going to. It might be better to talk about proposal recipients in some ways, because it's people are going to put all of this information on the forum, and then anyone could just make the proposal. And all it is, creating the proposal is stupid easy. It's the amount, the address, and a link to the forum post, and maybe a title. That's it. So it takes, there's the social effort to actually get a proposal through our social structure, and then just putting it on chain is kind of a joke. Someone could do it for a different project. So it's this permissionlessness thing makes it a little more complicated, where we may want to just speak of proposal recipients.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I like the GitHub book so much. Is I think it does such a good job describing the process. I'll really dive into that and see, Griff, if I can describe it in a way that's accurate. And we'll definitely incorporate both the aspect of creating a proposal as well as actually kind of implementing it, as well as receiving ultimately. I have the distribution of funds and how that's going to work, obviously being done, XDAI and wrapped XDAI and all that. Fees for making proposals. I think we've talked about this. I'm pretty sure we have this in terms of the Hatch DAO. I just want to make sure we have that in the Commons DAO as well. Are there fees involved in just making a proposal, putting it up there, toll gating? Are any of those things happening in the Commons DAO as well, Griff?
They are. And there's this. I mean, you said, honey, have you looked at the Celeste stuff? No. Celeste is you're gonna flip your lid when you get into that, man. You're gonna love it. It's a arbitration system where you have to put down a deposit to create a proposal, but you get that deposit back. The tollgate fee, dandelion voting, you do not get back. So in the hatch DAO, you don't get the money back. In the commons, the TE commons, once we upgrade to conviction voting, you actually do get the money back. Also in disputable voting, you'll get the money back. But you can be challenged. So someone can put up a challenge amount. And these amounts, they could be different if that's how we design our DAO. Unfortunately, the technocracy doesn't exist here, so we have to wait until the community decisions. But so you'll put down a deposit amount, and then someone can challenge it and say, this is not doesn't follow our covenant. So we'll have a community covenant that is there in front of our any proposal that people have to agree to before they can create a proposal. And they'll even have to deposit funds before they create a proposal that says that they agree to this covenant. And then they start making proposals. And every time they make a proposal, that fee is put in there, or that deposit is there. But then someone can come up and say, you're not following the covenant. And they put up a challenge amount. And this group has a certain amount of time to respond. If they say, no, I actually am following the covenant, you're wrong, they can escalate by putting down honey. And then this person can say, no, I'm right. Like I believe in my challenge is accurate. And then they have to put up honey. So I have this like approach. And if anyone doesn't follow that next step, then the other person gets their deposit amount that they put in. Although the first challenge can be cool, can be polite. They can actually say like, oh, hey, I'm just going to challenge this, but I'm not going to take your money if you don't respond. I know that you have good intentions, but you need to like revise this. And then, so I'm going to block you from being voted on. But I'm not going to take your money. So the person who has the challenge has the opportunity to be polite and nice about it, but they could also be like, you're malicious. I'm going to take your deposit, and so there's this, you make a proposal, you put down a deposit, you can be challenged, which can threaten that deposit. If you are challenged and you think you are following the covenant, you can put up honey. If the challenger disagrees, then he can put up honey. And then that goes to a decentralized court where there's external arbitrators that have staked honey, and they will decide who gets to keep who wins. And the person who wins will get the person's deposit amount, and they will get the judgers, the honey keepers is what they're called, like beekeepers. They will end up getting one of the honey deposits.
Well, this is how this document's going to turn into a monster. Because we'll have to figure out a way to describe that accurately or link to a place where that can be reviewed.
Exactly.
That's going to be interesting. It sounds awesome.
We should definitely link. We should definitely be linked. We don't need to rewrite this stuff.
So definitely I want to have a section on the fees that are going to be involved in proposal making. There's that next section below that the Commons DAO is just a platform. It's not a broker, it's not a charity, it's not a financial institution, it's not a bank. It's none of these entities that everyone's familiar with, although you can see aspects of how it looks like things, right? Because typically when a third party acts between two parties trying to get something done, that's a classic broker arrangement, right? I mean, that's your real estate agent, someone helping you buy a company. These third parties that kind of bring two people together to form a deal are often brokers. And because of that, they have duties, they have responsibilities that have to be met and adhered to. And that's not really what's going on here. All that's really happening is the Commons DAO is just a platform to let that happen. Kind of in the way that, like, say Uber is a platform to bring drivers together with customers. But Uber itself isn't going out of its way to match people up. It's just kind of saying, here's a place where you guys can do it. Here's an area where people can come together. But they're not in the process of saying, well, let me introduce you to you because I think there's a deal here that could get done. Now let me help you guys figure this out. So that section is just basically about all the things the Commons DAO isn't. Donors, I don't know if that's the best way to describe people that may contribute to a proposal, but obviously that feels like it's going to be a big section in terms of describing the process of saying, if you like a proposal, how do you get involved in it?
Definitely not donors.
We won't have
Right,
donors.
right.
It will be just the organization giving away the grants, right?
Yeah, I mean, the people who vote for grants, they don't even lose money. They're just signaling that they like this thing and it should get our pot of funds. So there's no one. The organization itself is what's giving the money away, and then the members.
Is it better to call them voters?
Yeah, it's better to call them voters.
Okay. That next section is just going to be about taxes and basically just telling everyone, hey, look, what the Commons DAO isn't telling you what the tax implications of anything is. And that is probably something people are going to have to address on their own. And again, it depends on what the proposal looks like. I can't even imagine the potential tax implications for different proposals. I'm trying to think of like some of those common ones I saw, like the ocean cleanup. If people decided to give a grant for the ocean cleanup and create a token for proving you went and spent an hour cleaning up garbage at an ocean, what are the tax implications for receiving the money? What are the tax implications for holders of whatever coin is created for that project? Couldn't tell you. I really, I couldn't tell you, let alone multi-jurisdictionally tell you. So really it has to be, it's going to be like in all caps and bolded and italicized saying, hey, it's a really good idea to pay attention to this and get tax advice. Not just for, I think, the people receiving the grant, but also for potential token holders. Modification of services is that next section. And I think that's just going to be sort of a reiteration that because the Commons DAO is community organized, things can change and will change. Data retention, again, this is probably just going to be important to kind of say, hey, look, the Commons DAO isn't keeping data on who the donors are. We're not keeping well, to my knowledge, not keeping donors lists. We're not trying to monetize donors lists. But at the same time, obviously, everything done on a blockchain is going to be reviewable. It's not necessarily identifiable, but it's reviewable. So you're if wallet A, gets a coin from something, you're going to be able to tell. Whether or not you can identify who owns that wallet, I guess, is a trickier question. Eventually, it's going to interact with somewhere that has KYC, and you will.
We can identify a lot of wallets, like the Common Stack.
Yeah. So, but that being said, I don't think the Commons DAO is going to be retaining anything. Yes, I understand that stuff is reviewable over the blockchain, but I don't think people are going to hold on to data, or at least in terms of like.
This is a really interesting point, and the way that we've structured this, the way the common stack has structured this, is that a lot of people will be identifiable by the common stack, while the DAO is completely permissionless and like doesn't have any direct awareness. But the common stack kind of has this like rating system, you could say, or like you know, the idea is that it's a multi-game theory. It's a multi-game like theoretical approach, so that if someone misbehaves in one DAO, they're not going to be allowed to other DAOs. But within that DAO structure, it's yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah, I think there's a line to be walked between saying, you know, obviously part of the idea of the commons is identifying bad actors and punishing bad actors, identifying good actors and rewarding them. But at the same time, I think it's probably worthwhile to say the Commons DAO also isn't trying to, or you know, monetize any other information that isn't publicly available. The next section, prohibited conduct. Great redirect to get book. I agree. You know, this is just to basically don't be a dick, and you know, don't make. Again, kind of reiterating kind of what will happen in the section above, talking about bad actors. But if you're a bad actor, it will get punished in this kind of system. The sections below, it's just going to be, this is just classic. Every contract is going to have this indemnity and release. Look, the Commons DAO is not responsible for anything that happens in these projects. If the Commons DAO sends a grant to someone cleaning up the, you know, for a proposal for cleaning up the ocean or beachside or whatever, and someone slips and falls on that project, the Commons DAO has nothing to do with that. There's no warranty. Look, we're in a Commons DAO is not telling you that if if people participate in a project, that something good's going to happen. Coins go up or you know, number go up. There's no warranty about that. Limitation on liability. Again, it's just, it sounds repetitive, but these are all kind of minorly different. In that basically anything that can happen here in terms of liability, it's got nothing to do with the Commons DAO. All the Commons DAO is doing is giving out these grants and voting on things. And yeah, that can change based on what the community decides to change, but no one's taking responsibility. There is nothing to take responsibility of. There just isn't. There's just people voting. And then lastly, disputes, which may, I think we've gone over before in the Hatch proposal terms, that is a longer version of that document, where, Griff, we may end up going over Celeste again here, and kind of describe again kind of what happens in the event that there are disputes. You know, someone's upset because they entered in the wrong address, and so money didn't get, you know, sent to where it was supposed to go. And so the process for going through that system will again either get linked to Graviton, or linked to the Celeste description. But that's what I'm imagining. This is probably at a bare minimum. There's probably, again, you saw the GoFundMe one. That's 30 pages of disclaimers, and I'm not trying to recreate the wheel and say that that's the way it has to be, but if you're trying to describe how you want things to work, this is going to, you know, be, you know, a few pages of descriptions here. And a lot of it is, look, we're not responsible for anything, but you still got to kind of tell people, because the last thing you want is someone saying, well, the Commons DAO is a broker and therefore, you know, ought to have been licensed. And because it wasn't licensed, it's breaking the law.
That was a great outline. I think, what do you guys think on focusing on some of the points on the weeks coming, every week focusing on 2, 3, or several until we reach the whole document. We have some time. We have, what do we have, Griff? 5 weeks or 6 weeks before the Hatch launches. So we have some time. We can probably, with 4 weeks, we might be able to go over the whole document, discuss it, and have the final version after that. If we can go over 2 or 3 sections every week. So I would propose that we work that way, and after those sessions, we should be able to have that document, which is right now what's the big part that's missing. After this document, I don't see of any big one. There may be other minor things that we may want to bring into the table in legal, but I don't see any other big document needed. Okay, so then I don't know. I will try to go over the GoFundMe. I think it's a good exercise to look at this whole document and see how these guys are approaching everything. And if you want to just prepare 2 or 3, the first initial sections for next week, that'd be great. We can discuss them together and leave them, finished, and then focus on the next 3 for the other week and keep going like this.
That sounds good to me.
All right. Great. That was a great introduction of the terms. I didn't expect such a huge document, but I think it's worth letting everyone know that we're not responsible for anything except for the money we're going to give you. But it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's good to make things clear and have a document there so everyone can look at it in the event that there's any issue or dispute or discussion or or whatever. Anything else from any of you guys? No? Good. All right. Okay, thanks a lot for coming. I think we can leave it slightly early today. I'd love to jump into those first sections next week. And yeah, have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Andy.
See you.
Thank you.